One, two. All right. Hey, welcome to the Go for CEO channel, everybody. I am so excited. It is time again for the CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs to be on this channel because it's all about going for CEO and the mindset behind it. We even interview entrepreneurs, but today there's a special guest. All right. This lady's been in real estate. She's been in oil and gas. She's in the financial education space. She's in B2B of all B2B, and she knows how to put it in the right steps. So I am super excited. You know, Clubhouse, I've shared with you the last few guests on Go for CEO that I've really built some great relationships over the last few months. And this is another one that has given me some time. Now, she's been with the Sharks because she was the original type of shark before the Shark Tank came out. So excited to have you on, Miss Loral Langemeier from Millionaire Maker. How are you?
Good. I'm good. It's great to be with you. And again, from Clubhouse, here we go. It's like, I say it's my new stage, right? Because I've been on stages all over the world, and this is our new stage. It's very different.
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting. I mean, you know, if you think about LinkedIn, I keep on telling people, and I think a lot of us have adopted this. It's LinkedIn on steroids, because we can get to a CEO, to a founder, to an entrepreneur, to a business mind a lot quicker on Clubhouse. So, but neat. So a lot of people on Go for CEO, you know, really come to the channel because they want to learn what it is to truly do business, right? We're not really motivational. We'd love to get a little bit of background of you, Loral, but we really want to understand, what does Loral think? Like, transactionally, what does she think with her team? How does she strategize? All those types of things. But I'd love to start with just a little bit of the background, just to kind of people know, like, hey, this is what Loral came and how what she's all about.
Absolutely. So, you know, I'm the farm girl from Nebraska story, right? Grew up in a huge family farm in the southeast corner of Nebraska. And at 17, I don't even remember how I get there. You know, I got there, I was in an event. I think it had to have been, I was headed off to college, so it had to have been probably some athletic event. Dennis Waitley was there, gave me the book, Think and Grow Rich. I was one of those from the audience that ran up and go, oh my gosh. And it changed my entire, like, I shouldn't say life with thinking, but it was pivotal. It's like, people think like this, people write like this, you know. I mean, we were very isolated in that little corner of Nebraska, you know, raising corn and soybeans and have every animal ever. And I changed my degree. I was going to be off to college to be a lawyer, and I changed to finance and business to study why people, and so few people, once I started studying, become millionaires. Like, why is this so difficult? So fast forward, I have 5 New York Times bestsellers. I actually have been doing a workshop today, right? The Millionaire Maker is my brand. But I have 5 New York Times that are with it. So it's how to build a 7-figure business. I've been doing 8 figures for a while, a long time, in a lot of different companies. How do you invest off Wall Street? That's really probably what I'm known for to the CEOs and to the higher level people. I have built my entire wealth off Wall Street, where a lot of people have been in the market and played the stocks. I didn't. I bought real estate. I worked for Chevron for like a minute, and then I bought the oil well. So I, with a bunch of people, bought the gas and oil well, learned the tax strategies of gas and oil, and then was really in gas and oil for a long time until businesses became interesting. It's like, well, if I can buy a fix and flip, why can't I do the same with business? And so I had some great mentors in that space. Some of my first little simple ones were a pizzeria, a hair salon, a nail salon, an auto body shop. So I would just buy and fix these little companies, and a lot of it was marketing and sales. And you know, a lot of the funny stuff, John, was I remember the pizzeria. Do you want to know how I think? I mean, I live in Lake Tahoe, Nevada, and it's at the bottom of the mountain. It was the only delivery on the mountain, and it totally went under. And I remember walking in and saying, where's the database? So that's how I think. Where's the customers? Where's the buyers? And I've always thought database and monetization of the client. And fast forward, I've done hundreds of those transactions, thousands of real estate. Today, I'm very active in cannabis. On my cannabis, you know, I'd say property, which is in the middle of Nevada, area 51-ish. I am also doing solar, Bitcoin mining. I'm in Boise doing building. I'm in Kansas rehabbing apartments, very active. So I orchestrate from, I'd say, the top and help put the deals together.
So look, that really becomes a mindset, right? And I want to go back just a tad, because I think there was a good important part there where you said, hey, the pizza shop, right? And a lot of our, Go for CEO community thinks about, like, all right, what are 2 of the areas that when you take over business are just top priority for you? meaning EBITDA and, AR and AP, and like, where do I look to see where the nuggets of gold are?
So, I mean, yeah, there's AR and AP, but I look to the database. Was there a database? Was there a collection of any data? I look marketing. Like what's my monetization? What am I picking up from what was left behind? And believe it or not, in that little place, the owner had a literal black book, believe it or not, of every home on the mountain. And it was organized by address in like handwritten, like literally a little black book. But the brilliance is she left behind, like, John has wife, 4 kids, loves pepperoni, cheese, Sunday night. I'm like, you got to be kidding. And so we technically, I hired a technical team, like immediately put that in a text database, and we started texting before we fixed anything. There was broken shit everywhere in that place. I mean, obviously we tidied it up, we cleaned the kitchen, we bought a few more, little bit of equipment, but I'm the monetization. How fast can we get to cash flow? And did they have clients? And how long can we track them? And how do we bring them back? And so when I say what are the 1 or 2 things I think of, I think database marketing. How fast can we monetize cash flow to bring it back? Then I'll get into the rest of it, right? Into the margins. And I bring in experts for that. Like, that's not my wheelhouse, right? I look at the future funding. I'm looking at things like insurance when you have, drivers in Lake Tahoe delivering in the middle of a snowstorm because people don't want to come out and get it. How do we get insurance on those drivers? So I'm looking at a very high level, and then I hire the rest and I bring in teammates. They earn some equity. So I brought somebody in who owned a lot of Subway stores, actually was a client of mine. We became partners because I flew him out from Ohio, Illinois area. And he owned a ton of Subways out there. And I said, I need you to do all the costing on this, from where do we order? What are the vendors? You do the food. I have no clue how to do that. You handle that. I'm going to handle the marketing, sales, keep cash flow afloat. And then the higher level, like from the funding to the insurance to the structure. It was a sole proprietor when I picked it up. Mm-hmm. Right. So you got to fix all of that. So I think to those who want that CEO position or don't want that thinking, is, too many people, and you've heard it too on Clubhouse, say, well, my lawyer and accountant are thinking about that. It's like, no, you're the owner. That is a very critical part of a partnership that I want to know the structure. I want to know how shares are given. I want to know the cap table. I want to know, where our risk is in that structure. And I want to get us to monetization fast. So those are probably my 2 things I'm known for and how I come into a company. The detail of a hair salon, I don't know how to cut hair. I don't know any of the vendors. I don't need to know that. I can bring an expert in for that. I can bring an expert in for the auto body shop. I'm still going to be looking at monetization quickly, getting to cash flow quick. Can we turn it quick? And then I look at EBITDA as I exit on the sale, because I'm usually a touch and go. I don't stay long.
Okay. This is interesting, right? I mean, you touched on a couple of points also that make sense when you think about buying a business, and then now you get in there, you're actually very, very focused and very linear on the way that you're attacking it, right? So on the strategy of the team side of things, it probably took you a while, but how did you start to develop incentive programs, or how did you think, all right, this expert that I just call out of the blue, or maybe you have a relationship with them, how are you motivating that person to come in and do the job for you, right? And with you?
That's good. So one of my greatest mentors, and also a little back history, in 1996 to 2000, I worked on the Rich Dad Poor Dad team. So I was part of that advising team with Robert and Sharon. Sharon is still one of my dearest friends. I call her my financial mom. And I learned a lot from them, from Blair Singer, from Garrett Sutton, from Dolph DeRoos, from Dan Kennedy. I learned a ton. Keith Cunningham was really I learned a ton from him, who's actually put Rich Dad Poor Dad on the map. 1999 was my Millionaire year. So I kind of have some backstory of I was around a lot of people doing it. And so I learned from modeling, I got to say, and that's what I do. I have a mentoring program. I bring people through, and I always say I take them to the streets, because that's how I learned it. Before I did this, I went with them. I went, I bought a recycled glass company, but I wasn't at the forefront. I was behind a mentor watching how we did it. So I learned a lot about putting that team together. And one of the greatest things that team and some of that groups really taught me, and everyone listening should write this down, you never give equity to what you can hire. And it's just been a standing rule. If I can hire you, like a website, the tech services, if I can hire you and find it like you're a commodity, I'm going to hire you. I'm never going to give equity to you. Like you're going to, I won't. I mean, it's a really hard rule that I learned from some really tough mentors that taught me. So for example, the guy that I brought in from the subway, the only way to get him to come across the country and do this was equity. Right? He's not hireable. I'm not hireable. I take equity. So I just use that as a really strong rule. And you say, well, what if you don't have the money? Well, you and I both know how to do funding. So, I would raise capital or get capital, whether it's typically debt financing. I'm a huge fan of debt financing. Convertible debt, is what I use a lot. But as far as getting the team, the very senior team to come really rally, it's always on, typically it's Shark Tank, right? It's an equity move. And a lot of times without capital. I want their brains. I say, bring your brains and I'll give you a part of the deal. And typically they're a touch and go too. We come in, we structure, and then obviously the bigger companies, like some, real estate, I stay in for the long haul. Gas and oil, I'm on for the long haul. Some asset classes, I'm in the long haul. But a lot of these fun ones, what I call the community businesses, I love them. Like when COVID hit, what a gold mine. I mean, those of you, we'll drive around town. Don't tell me a restaurant. I love the restaurant work I've been doing in the last year. Coffee shops, again, back to the basics, nail salons, hair salons. Service-based businesses are not difficult to work on, right? It's monetization, it's vendors, it's margins. It's fun.
Yeah, it creates good economies within the economy. I think I heard you on another podcast. We won't give them too much pub, but you said that, right? Is just look around your current community. There's millions just sitting there, right? And the opportunities are all there. And we all know that, hey, the older generation, they call it the baby boomers right now. They have like another 10 to 15 years max, right? Because they got 2030, they're all going to be 65. They're turning 65, every 11,000 of them a day. And many of them are business owners, right? Entrepreneurs. But, I'm that bridge generation. I'm Gen X. And then you've got the millennials, right? So we're trying to teach them what it is.
We got Gen Zs out there right now.
Gen Zs, yeah. They're starting to take it. But it's funny how the wealth gap is transferring over the Gen X. So I'm a little upset about it, but I'm going to get some of that. So, but neat.
Let me speak to that really quick though.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my clients, right, that are wanting to get into business, that is exactly where I tell them to go, is go to the baby boomers. Go to the, whether it's a construction company, a painting company, go to the landscaping companies, go to the folks who are in their last 5 years. They're looking for they just don't want to sell. And a lot of baby boomers, because there's not this active environment of buying or selling or even partnering in, a lot of those companies are just going to get laid down. Right? And no one's going to buy them. It's just going to atrophy away. It is such a gold mine right now, because you got to think the baby boomers are, like you said, are in that range where, do I really want to do the battle through COVID, right? And all the drama and all this, like you said, the new surge of masks is coming and the new crap to, shut down the economy. So, you got to be those people saying, do I have enough put away that I can just, let it go? Where I am matchmaking a lot of younger clients to those baby boomers. You talk about a gold mine, those of you listening, go partner with them. Do a 3 to 5 year exit. Let them go out so they don't have the big tax strategy on a one cap sale. Buy them out. There's so many ways to do those transitions to keep those businesses alive in your community.
That's huge. It's huge. So here's one thing that we talk a lot about, with the Go for CEO community at the end, and we'll go over these questions, but I really kind of wanted to touch because I felt like, you're very specific about how you enter a business and where you strategically go, and then how you bring in your partnerships. But I'm very curious, because we all probably think this, like, well, if it's a failing business, what kind of client experience are they having? What are they doing with their customers? How do they really treat them? Do you have something salvageable? So is there anything that you feel like you do that's a strategy to be able to kind of rekindle those spirits?
Yep. And I love it. Again, that's I love the creative marketing side. So I am a huge fan of surveying, right? I love surveying people. What's your experience? especially if we know we're in a takeover or just, walking in. I mean, this pizzeria that we kind of used as an example, it was completely shut down. I mean, by the time we walked in, the refrigerators were full of food. It was moldy. It was the most disgusting takeover. It was like, I mean, walking through, my kids even remember it, but it was like a vivid, experience for them. So we surveyed, what'd you think of the pizza? What'd you think of the delivery? And on the mountain, I mean, where this was, that entire mountain gets bombarded with snow and storms, and they want the delivery. They wanted it. They hated the service. They loved the pizza. They loved the mom and pop feel of it. And so it was like, all right, well, how do we recreate a mom and pop feel? Which, by the way, I sold it to a local accountant who kept that mom and pop feel, and that's who bought the company and then kept it going. So I love surveying and just getting straight into the middle of it. And if you have to acknowledge it was a crap experience, we know it was like that. Our goal is to fix it. So we want your input. You ask the customer. And I know it sounds really risky to do. Some people hate that because you can get, and we were, I mean, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly in that. But I'll tell you, it fixes a lot. It allows you a different social media, I'd say, channel or experience. For people to know that we're fixing it. We acknowledge it didn't work. We acknowledge what was good and bad. So I get right in the middle of it. I just transparently, front face all of that as a way to really just bring your customers back. And then you have to give them a lot, like we did, buy one, get one free. We did a lot of specials. We did a lot of, family specials. We did a lot of catering. Actually, how we really fixed the finance part of it is we went out to the fire departments, the police departments, to urgent care units. We would go to local businesses that we knew had staff, and especially in storms, right? Big mountain weather, they didn't want to, wander out. So we would just, say, let us cater your lunch. So we catering became the bigger revenue stream than actually the delivery on the mountain. So you fix it and you just go straight into it. And I started surveys and you got to have some tough skin because you're going to get berated and, people saying, and you know what, well, we'll come back in for a free pizza, spend the next month on us. And you know what, people never took advantage of that. I did it with hair salons. I've done it with nail salons, bad experiences. So the way I know how to fix bad experiences is just over deliver and make it phenomenal.
I love it. Well, there's a big word, right? Over delivering on what you're doing is part of the client experience, right? So let's get into a little bit of the minutia, right? You talked about really your powerhouse strategy is the marketing side, right? And what you bring to the table. So, part of that client experience is marketing, right? Just re-engaging and getting that scenario of the buy one, get one, or those types of offers. What other things do you think about when you think about marketing and either taking over a business or an existing one to kind of up level that business?
Well, the minute you do those and you start getting a better customer experience, get reviews, especially with all the social media the way that it is, I call them ethical, and they're known in marketing as ethical bribes. Like I give people, and I'll switch over to like my education company. When people give my podcast a review or a Google review or Facebook review or whatever, an Amazon review on my books, we will reward them. So we give a lot, like just to have those reviews. I think reviews are critical in today's world. I don't think people are paying enough attention to them. And then there's the BBB and Yelp, and let's all talk very candidly, right? You got to pay. They are not clean, just open, reviews or scoring. So you play the game. You play the game where it makes sense to play the game. And I don't think a lot of people know about that whole structure of how you front face and look fabulous to the world who doesn't know you. So we do a lot in those categories. And what else would we do? There's so many strategies to do, especially with social media right now. I mean, there's, and we're on every channel. That's probably the other thing I would say is don't just isolate on Clubhouse or LinkedIn if that's where you're watching from. I mean, I explore TikTok. I have a 14-year-old, almost 15-year-old daughter who is a dancer. So you can imagine her TikTok channel. So one day I'm like, I can dance. I was an aerobics instructor. And she's like, you've got to be kidding. And so we did. We actually started doing some dances. People realized I was a single mom. I opened a website called Rich Mom, Single Mom. It was pummeled. I mean, people like, come live and talk to us, help us. And I had runaway videos, 100,000 views like in, a day, crazy stuff. So when you go into a channel, like I'm that person in that channel, and TikTok, I'm the rich single mom, right? That's not who I am on LinkedIn. That's not who I'm on Clubhouse. So I would say in this day and age, like where we are, I'm in every channel, and I'm who they need me to be. It's not that I'm fake. I just emphasize that part of me and part of my experience and part of who I am to the channel who needs to hear it. And so I'm everywhere. And so I would say if you're wanting some tips on that, it has been one of our greatest strategies is we've hired a great social media team. I've brought them in-house. They do my video, they do my editing, and they post wherever it makes sense. And we do a lot. We do a lot. So I would say I would use that. I use it a lot in my education as I enter selling into a very phenomenal cannabis space called Mom's Meds. We'll be doing that same thing. We'll be in every channel about the medicine of marijuana and the moms who need it for their either elder parents or their kids. So we're using the same strategies everywhere.
It's incredible, to put yourself in a sense of, omnipresence, right? And also compartmentalize, right? To know the audience that you're in. So it's just the same thing, right? How do you take over an automobile business? How do you take a pizzeria? How do you take it? You morph into it, and that's what you've done. So ladies and gentlemen, the Go for CEO community, the last 5-10 minutes have been total gold. If you're not taking notes right now, shame on you. They always say it's shame on you if you fool me once, shame on me if I get fooled, right? So I don't fool yourself here. You've got to start taking the right notes and be able to be a part of this great community. So Loral Langemeier,
Thank you. John, I got to say one thing as you just said that and reframe. For a lot of you, you're so deep in the business, you aren't thinking or behaving this way. And not that what I do is I think magical or special. I just don't get in the weeds. I hire that. I bring that in. I put equity where it needs to be. And a lot of you aren't thinking because you don't even have time to think. You're so in the drama of it all or the daily activity of it all. You don't have time to sit back and say, because it's the number one question I'm asked, John, how do you do so many companies? Because I don't get in them. I stay on them. And it is that, Michael Gerber was the in and on, he brought that to the market.
Yeah.
So critical. It's so critical. And not everybody wants my, my role. I can tell you nobody on my team wants my role. But I really carved out that lane and which makes it unique. But if you want to get out of it, you're going to have to hire, you got to create the revenues to be able to hire that team. So you actually get to stay on it and not, mired into the daily activity of it.
Well, I mean, you were a part of it, right? The cash flow quadrants, right? Employee, solopreneur, business owner, investor. And those 4 quadrants are just day and night when you think about how you could structure your life. And as a business owner and building a machine where, the other ways you're kind of in it and you're using your hands and you've got to be in it, like you said, in the business instead of out on the business, right? So interesting stuff. So Loral, I know that we were kind of pressed for time a little bit. You're on to the next thing, as it is. And we're so appreciative on the Go for CEO channel. We'd love to have you on the next 6 to 12 months and just kind of keep on conversing about how do you strategize? What are you doing? What's Loral doing in the Millionaire Maker and all the other businesses? So, but the way that we kind of wrap up the interview is CEO, right? So client experience, which you did kind of give us a great lesson there, but I want to give you a little bit chance to go deeper on that. Employee engagement and then operational excellence. So when you think about your enterprise and what you've been able to do throughout the last 15, 20, 30 years of your life and the empire that you built, what does client experience truly come down to as a differentiating, factor for you in your business?
I gotta say it, and we met at Clubhouse, and I get right to this phone. I operate. I'm a big texter. I'm highly available and connected, and clients have that experience. So I'm not some of those gurus who you buy the organization and you see me once a month on some random call. I am extremely connected. My client experience, they have an issue, because I have a huge team, you got to imagine. So I'm really I shouldn't say the puppet master, but I'm helping people move through the experience of becoming a millionaire, which is a lot of experts, a lot of coordination. And this has been my saving grace, is my text and my connection to those clients personally, who they are, who their kids are, what their family's about, and actually caring. And I think too many people say they do this, but they're doing it for the ego or whatever they're doing it. I'm extremely connected in the client experience.
And I will say, Go for CEO community, Loral reached out she was proactive. I'm just John the Bomb, building others means business on Clubhouse, right? This little guy, I hear her, she's dominating a stage and she reaches out. Then the second time she reaches out, I was like, all right, I got to make sure I do connect with her. Then she gives, asked me for my phone number. I connect with her and then I'm like, it's probably a bot, like maybe this automatic, receiving. No, but it's really Loral Langemeier, like actually texting, right? So it's awesome stuff. And look, that is a huge, huge tip, ladies and gentlemen. Just be connected, right? And then use the resources and the tools to be able to, really connect your team to, I know you brought in 2 other people onto our text message and you were instantly all over it. I mean, we start this video and you're like, hey, meet this guy, Scott, I need you to put him on. So it's an interesting way that you work and it's very powerful. So now if we went from client experience, the E is employee engagement. So how do you keep these people engaged? What is the secret, maybe 2 secrets of employee engagement for you?
See, this is going to be this is going to be a left curve. So everybody get ready. I mean, if I knew how to drift, which, my husband's amazing at it, we would spin this car around as fast as you could. So I don't have hardly any. Okay. So I mean, you got to imagine if I'm teaching you to be a millionaire, I'm teaching you to be an entrepreneur. I'm teaching you to have your own corporation at 18. My son's 18. He gets an LLC. He's going to be 22 next month. He just signed in this weekend over another one. So people start with me as an employee. And within a year, they're like, you say not work for like work, because having an employee, like employee revenue is the worst kind of revenue you can make, right? Because he's being taxed and blah, blah, blah. Right? Companies make money. You get 81,000 pages of deductions in the United States. So we end up graduating. They don't quit. They graduate from an employee owning their own company. And then I coach and we train them to have their own company. So I'm in company, everyone that you were joint text to, they have a company and they work for my company. And my company is one of their clients or I work with them. So we're in a very relationship. We don't work for, like, there's no hierarchy. I don't do that either. I think that's odd. So I grow people into entrepreneurs and then we have very mature and very long lasting relationships. So, and if I do have employees like at the pizzeria or different places, that's not the place I land. That's not my thing. I'm not that person. So I grow them up. Those who want to grow into being an entrepreneur, their company works for my company and our goal is to get them past 6 figures as fast as they can.
I love it. I love it. Well, hey, there's another golden nugget, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll land the plane on this one, which is operational excellence. A lot of people, hey, sales gets you in the limelight. It could give you everything, but if you're not operationally sound, you could crumble from within. So what are 2 or 3 different areas that you keep a tight knit watch on and an eagle eye, Loral Langemeier, on operational excellence?
Again, it's a team. I have one gentleman at the height of our mentoring and mastermind and programs. One gentleman, he's been with me well over 10 years and very similar. Everyone gets his cell phone, everyone gets mine. So there is no excuse to, I didn't get this or I didn't get this. It is immediate fixing. It's immediate connection. We put the responsibility on the client to reach out. If you have a question, you have anything, you got 2 of the top cell phone numbers who can make stuff happen. And just like the gentleman you met, Scott, we have about 19 experts and everyone gets connected at a cell phone level. So it's very connected. It's not, we have this huge maze of organization that people have to get to. I need this, I need to self-direct my IRA, I need my trust funded, I need this. I mean, we're immediately moving people to exactly who they need. So it's connection. It's the tightest connection. People do not want this whole maze of an organization to have to wander through and get a voicemail and push here and, this whole voicemail chain. It just doesn't happen. It's very tight connection. And our operational excellence, it has changed so drastically since I made that decision for myself and for the organization. If we're going to be front facing and connect, and all the companies are, even the owners of my development company in Boise to the way we run our marijuana company. It's just the culture that I want to create is we aren't those people who are just so far away that they can't talk to us. So if you have an issue, call us. And, the people who whine and cry out there, it makes it really rough for them to, complain on the internet. When I call them out and say, if you have an issue, man, you got my phone number.
Right here.
So it just changes. It changes the environment. And, you know, actually, I got to give credit to Bob Proctor, because he started doing it when I was mentoring with him. And I'm like, Bob, aren't you concerned everybody's going to call you? He said, you know, people actually that are mature, yeah, you're going to have the whiners and the criers and some of those. He said, but mature people will call you when you need them. They're not going to call you every day. He said, you will be shocked how respectful people will be. And I just took it on. And it's been that way for over a decade. And I can tell you it's changed all of our culture, from the client experience to the employee experience to the operation, is stay connected to the very people who are paying you to stay alive as an organization.
Hey, you're
I don't know
going.
if that helps. I don't know if that's magical, but it sounds kind of simple.
No, hey, that, you know what? The simplicity is the beautiful thing, right? When you can make things simple, people can catch onto it. And, you know, I learned a long time ago, people aren't taught things. They catch things, right? They got caught, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, a light bulb hits on, right? Yeah. So it's interesting. So just like you can't motivate people, because it's motivation is fleeting. You can inspire people, right? And they can move on in their inspiration. But interesting stuff, Loral. Well, hey, thank you so much. I want to be respectful of your time, and certainly looking forward to the next 6 to 12 months, not only us doing something offline here, but getting a chance to bring you back on and talk about some of the nuances going into the latter part of 2021 and what we expect for 2022. So what are some ways that...
Got to tell you one thing. April, Financial Literacy Month. I wrote a book with an Air Force fighter pilot who's a client, and we both made our kids millionaires. Mine were on paper at 10 millionaires as a generational wealth strategy that I can't wait to teach you. Our book comes out with McGraw-Hill. It'll be the 4th of our Millionaire Maker. So we got a lot to talk about. So maybe next conversation is, how do you build generational wealth?
I love it. I love it. No, we're definitely having you on again. And as long as you make the time, I really appreciate it. So what are some ways that people can connect with you? Maybe let's not give them your number right here, but let's do something so that they know what, like, I know there's a .club out there that people should.
And let's give them that. Let's give them that. So let's go to Loral, Loral, spell my name right, LORAL.club. Let's do a /John. That way we know everybody who's come from you will track right back to you. So Loral.club, you're going to get tons of gifts. I'll tell you what's there. It's a free free copy of my book. You can put in a profile if you want a one-on-one conversation with some of our team. You're going to get a software that keeps you safer in the market. It actually pulls you out of the market if it starts rocking and rolling. What else is out there? Just tons of stuff, tons of assets. How to never pay your kid an allowance. That's totally illegal. You want to motivate them to do tasks and pay them. So I have a lot of my kids' work out there. I've got just a lot. So thousands of dollars of gifts. So go to Loral.club, sign up in there, put Loral.club /John.
All right. Well, I'll tweak it a little bit. We'll do a /go for CEO.
Okay. We'll do that.